Hello students. So in continuation with the previous chapter 16 air, this is the last part, that is part 3. So let's start with it. In this part we will learn about the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in nature. We will learn various uses of air. Then we will learn about air pollution and a little bit about ozone layer. Starting with balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in nature. So we all know that all the organisms who live on the earth use oxygen constantly for breathing. So there might come a time when the entire oxygen gets used up and there is no more oxygen left in the air to breathe. So how do you think are we going to survive? Also, at the same time, during breathing, we release carbon dioxide. So there might come a time when the entire Earth's atmosphere gets filled with carbon dioxide. Do you think in such case we would all be alive? No. We will not survive in case if any one of the gas runs out or any other one increases in the air. So to take care of such a scenario, we have balance of carbon dioxide in nature. So these two, oxygen and carbon dioxide, these two gases are constantly balanced by various cycles that are going on in the nature. So let's see how this balance works. The oxygen in the air is used by us, by all the living organisms, for respiration. In the previous class, we have discussed that respiration is the release of energy from food. So this oxygen is also used for burning. Now both of these processes, that is respiration and burning, releases carbon dioxide in the air. Now this carbon dioxide that is released into the air is used up by the plants for the process of photosynthesis. Now in this process, plants use carbon dioxide and they produce their own food. Now in the process of producing their own food, they also produce certain gas, that is oxygen. So in this way, oxygen gets replenished. The oxygen gets restored back into the atmosphere. From there, this oxygen is again used up for the purpose of breathing as well as burning. And then burning and respiration again releases carbon dioxide and the cycle continues. So in this way, a balance between oxygen and dioxide is always restored in the nature. Coming on to another topic of the day, that is the uses of air. The most important use of air is breathing. We all need air to breathe and for respiration. So apart from breathing, there are some other uses of air. So let's learn about them one by one. First is wind powers windmills to generate electricity. There is a big fan in the windmills which rotates when the wind blows. And this fan is connected to a motor that generates electricity. That electricity is then sent to the households for their usage. Next use of air is that air provides a medium for planes, birds and insects to fly. All these things would not be able to fly in the air if air was absent. Air helps in pollination and dispersal of seeds. In the previous chapter 8, we have already discussed about what pollination is. Pollination is when the pollen grains are transferred from anther of a flower to its stigma. And dispersal of seeds means when the seeds are carried away to farther distance. Now both of these things can be done with the help of air. Air helps the light pollen grains to be carried away to the stigma of a flower, and similarly it also helps in dispersal of seeds. It helps in the dispersal of seeds to farther places with the help of wind, as happens in the case of dandelion that can be seen in the picture. These lightweight seeds, because of the fur-like structure is carried away with the help of the air, and then wherever it falls, and if it receives favorable conditions, it germinates into a new plant. Air provides a medium for sound to travel. Now, without air, we would not be able to hear each other's voices. Out in the space, we don't have air. As a result, we have a vacuum there, and it is not possible for sound to travel in vacuum. Another use of air is that it helps in the maintenance of the temperature, especially in the summers when we have very hot weathers. Then air helps us to keep ourselves cool. Air plays important role in water cycle. It helps in the evaporation and rising up of water vapor, and then it also affects the formation of clouds. Then air contains oxygen, which is needed by fire for burning. So fire cannot be burned without air. These were some of the important uses of air apart from breathing. Now let's move on to the next topic. Our air and our atmosphere are one of the main reasons for the life on our planet Earth, but the quality of air is constantly decreasing due to an increase in the amount of pollutants in the air. This introduction of harmful substances or pollutants in the air causes air pollution. Now, the reasons for air pollutions are the burning of fuels, even burning of wood in the villages, which releases smokes, causes degradation of the quality of air. The increase in the number of vehicles in the cities, the increase in the number of factories that are emitting out smoke in the air, they are all responsible for causing air pollution. Air pollution occurs when harmful substances are introduced into the Earth's atmosphere. There are certain gases that are harmful to us when its level in the environment increases beyond a certain extent. Those gases are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxides, and nitrogen oxides. The amount of these gases, when they increase in the air, they can cause various respiratory disorders such as asthma, sneezing, cough, bronchitis, and in serious cases they can also cause cancer and brain strokes, which might lead to death. Plants and animals too are facing the problems that are caused due to these harmful gases that are being added into the air constantly. So air pollution keeps on increasing with the increase in population of the humans, and because of the harmful activities of the humans, the quality of the air keeps on degrading day by day. So let's see various measures by which we can control air pollution. Controlling air pollution. By bringing about small changes in our lifestyle and by taking small steps, we can contribute a great deal into controlling the air pollution that is around us. So the first step that we can take is afforestation. Afforestation means planting more trees. We all know that plants take up the carbon dioxide and produce oxygen, and hence they clean up the air around us. But did you know that some plants around us breathe in other pollutants like benzylene and some airborne germs too? The plants such as peace lily, erica palm, spider plant, snake plant, money plant, ferns, etc. are recommended by NASA to purify air of toxic substances that are other than just carbon dioxide. So, afforestation is the simplest and easiest way to fight air pollution. Vehicles are another major source of causing air pollution. So, we can minimize the air pollution from vehicles by choosing to walk to go nearby, or we can ride bicycle or prefer public transport to travel shorter distances. Government has also brought in some rules for the usage of CNG driven taxis and buses, which is eco-friendly and a better alternative to diesel and petrol. You might have seen CNG taxis and CNG buses these days that run on the roads. So they are a better alternative to the diesel and petrol running engines. And the last important step that we can take to control air pollution is following the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. Reduce the use of not so important or harmful things such as polythene. Reuse the old stuff and recycle the substances that can be used in other forms, such as making envelopes from old newspapers or making pots from old plastic bottles, etc. So one small step from each and every individual can make a huge impact on saving our environment. Coming on to the next important topic of our presentation, that is ozone. What is ozone? Ozone is a naturally occurring layer of gas that is present in the stratosphere layer of atmosphere. This layer starts from 15 kilometers above the Earth's surface and it stretches up to 30 kilometers, which means that the thickness of ozone layer is about 15 kilometers. So ozone layer protects all the living organisms on the Earth from the ultraviolet radiation that is given by the sun. There are 3 types of UV radiations that are emitted from the sun, that are UVA, UVB and UVC. Out of these 3, UVC is the most damaging type of UV radiation. However, it is completely filtered by the ozone layer and hence it does not reach the surface of the Earth. But the other 2, that are UVA and UVB, are able to pass through the ozone layer, but they cannot penetrate deep into our skin. In small amount of exposure, they can cause skin burns and skin tanning. They are also considered to cause wrinkling and aging of our skin. So this is the reason why the dermatologists recommend the usage of a good sunscreen before stepping out in the sun. There are some chemical components, or rather chemical pollutants, which are responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer. Those chemicals are known as chlorofluorocarbons. These are the chemicals which are found in the spray aerosols, for example your deodorants. They are found in the refrigeration units and fire extinguishers. So these chemicals, when they reach up in the stratosphere layer, they react with the ozone layer and they deplete it. As a result, we are facing a thinning of ozone layer. So the ozone layer has been destroyed up to 65% in some parts of the Earth. There is a formation of a huge ozone hole above the Antarctica region of the Earth. Now this ozone hole is not technically a hole, but this is actually a region of thin ozone layer. So here the thickness of the ozone layer, which should be around 15 to 20 kilometers, have thinned down to 65 to 70%. As a result of this, UV rays are able to pass through this depleted layer, causing serious health problems. Ozone layer depletion causes increased UV radiation levels at the surface of the Earth, which is damaging to the human health. Its negative effects include increases in the chances of skin cancers and eye cataracts and other immune deficiency disorders. UV rays also affect the growth of the plant, which reduces the agricultural productivity. So here we complete our chapter. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.